Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful for You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The following is a detailed analysis and expansion of the core dramatic premise presented in the prompt, a leaked DNA test revealing that Steffy Forrester is the biological daughter of James, not Ridge Forrester, and that Hope Logan is, in fact, Ridge's true biological daughter. This exploration will delve into the foundational history, the cataclysmic moment of revelation, the intricate web of character reactions, the unraveling of past secrets, and the profound, long-term ramifications for the Forrester, Logan, and Spencer families, ultimately examining how such a revelation would not just rewrite personal identities but redefine the entire power structure of the Los Angeles fashion dynasty. The very foundation of the bold and the beautiful, the axis upon which decades of romance, rivalry, and corporate warfare have spun, is the immutable, almost mythic, lineage of the Forrester family. Ridge Forrester, the brilliant, temperamental design heir, son of the patrician Eric and the formidable Stephanie, has been the sun around which planets of love, ambition, and familial loyalty have orbited. His paternity, once a question tied to his brother Thorne, was long settled. His children have carried that legacy forward: Thomas, the troubled genius; Phoebe, whose tragic death bound Steffy and Hope in shared grief; and most significantly, Steffy herself, the fierce, resilient CEO of Forrester Creations, often portrayed as the purest embodiment of Forrester grit and style, her very name a tribute to her grandmother Stephanie. To question Steffy's paternity is not merely to adjust a family tree, it is to dynamite the cornerstone of the Forrester identity. Conversely, Hope Logan, the good girl daughter of Brooke Logan and, presumably, Deacon Sharp, has built her personal and professional brand, Hope for the Future, on a Logan ethos of earnestness, morality, and rising above scandal, always somewhat positioned as the outsider looking in on the Forrester ivory tower, her connection to it filtered through her mother's epic and turbulent romance with Ridge. The proposed twist, that a leaked DNA test reveals Steffy is actually the daughter of James, the gentle, often overlooked brother of Brooke and Donna Logan, and that Hope is Ridge's true biological child, would constitute the most seismic identity swap in the show's history, a revelation so profound it would make the historic paternity switch between Ridge and Thorne seem like a minor administrative error. The mechanism of this revelation is as crucial as the revelation itself: leaked medical records. Imagine a scenario, perhaps stemming from a forgotten, anonymized study at University Hospital, or a cyber attack on a private genetic database used by the Forresters for confidential health screenings. The information does not come from a deliberate, confrontational paternity test ordered by a suspicious character. It arrives, instead, as a digital ghost, a piece of data floating in the ether, found perhaps by a curious intern, a vengeful hacker, or a journalist digging into something else entirely. The leak lands not in the hands of the principals first, but perhaps on the desk of Sheila Carter, whose omnivorous appetite for chaos would see this as the ultimate weapon, or even in the possession of someone like Bill Spencer, who would instantly recognize its value as a geopolitical weapon in the endless war for control of Forrester Creations. The rock that the medical records provide is not just emotional, it is evidential, cold, clinical, and irrefutable. There is no room for the classic soap opera maneuver of sample tampering or lab error. At least initially, the data is presented as fact, a scientific decree that must be obeyed, thereby stripping the characters of their usual defenses of denial and sending them spiraling into an existential crisis with no easy off-ramp. To comprehend the magnitude of this quake, one must first map the fault lines it would expose in the past. The era of Steffy and Hope's conception was a maelstrom. Brooke Logan's life was a tapestry of romantic entanglements. Her relationship with Ridge was perpetually star-crossed, blocked by Stephanie, complicated by his marriages to Caroline and Taylor. James, Brooke's brother, was a constant, supportive presence, a gentle soul in the hurricane of the Logan Forrester drama. The twist forces a horrifying, retrospective re-examination of key moments. Was there a night of profound emotional vulnerability, perhaps after a brutal breakup with Ridge, where Brooke, seeking comfort in the purest form, turned to her brother James? A moment of blurred lines, of desperate solace, shrouded in so much shame and confusion that it was locked away in the deepest vault of memory, even from herself? The show has played with Brooke's complicated history before, but this would be its most taboo exploration. Conversely, it would resurrect the ghost of Brooke's brief, early marriage to Ridge, a union that produced no known children, or so it was believed. Perhaps a one-night reconciliation, hidden and fraught, during one of their many end-of-the-road partings, led to Hope's conception. But Brooke, believing Ridge was permanently lost to her or perhaps in the throes of her chaotic relationship with Deacon, might have convinced herself Deacon was the father. The timelines, always fluid in soap operas, would suddenly snap into a new, horrifying alignment. The medical records would force these buried truths to the surface, making liars not of the people, but of history itself. The immediate aftermath of the leak would be a study in the disintegration of self. For Steffy Forrester Spencer, this is an ontological catastrophe. Every belief about her essence is false. She is not a Forrester by blood. The legacy she fought for, the company she bled for, the name she wore as a badge of honor, is biologically not hers. Her famous resilience would be tested in a way no villain, no addiction, no personal tragedy could match. The relationship with her father, Ridge, the complex, passionate, often contentious bond that defined so much of her strength and her stubbornness, is revealed to be a beautiful, decades-long fiction. What does that make the lessons he taught her? The pride he took in her? Their shared love of design? Would she feel it was all a lie, or could she cling to the truth that love and upbringing matter more than DNA? Her marriage to Finn, a man defined by his own search for biological family due to Sheila, would be thrown into stark new relief. Would he, the doctor who values truth, become her anchor, or would her tailspin push him away? And what of her children? Hayes and Kelly are suddenly not Ridge's biological grandchildren, a subtle but potentially devastating shift in the familial constellation. Steffy's rivalry with Hope would be poisoned with a new, unbearable irony. She spent years viewing Hope as the Logan usurper, only to discover she herself is the Logan, and Hope the true Forrester. For Hope Logan, the initial shock might be one of dizzying, terrifying validation. All her life, she has yearned for Ridge's unwavering approval, often feeling she came second to Steffy in his eyes. She has wrestled with her Logan destiny, trying to be good in a family known for scandal. To learn that she is, in fact, his biological daughter, would feel like a cruel joke from the universe. The man she longed to see as a father was her father all along. Her entire relationship with her mother, Brooke, would be thrown into catastrophic doubt. Why did Brooke lie? Was it a lie of knowledge, or a lie of assumption? The bedrock of Hope's identity, her moral center, built in part as a reaction to Brooke's tumultuous past, would crack. Her connection to Thomas Forrester, always charged with a dark, obsessive energy, would take on a newly Gothic hue if explored before the revelation, though the truth would render it definitively and horrifically taboo. Her marriage to Liam, the man perpetually torn between her and Steffy, would face unprecedented strain. Liam's entire romantic history is a ping-pong game between the Forrester heiress and the Logan good girl. This revelation would scramble the very categories upon which his oscillations were based. Would his feelings change based on this new biological reality? Hope's position at Forrester Creations would be fundamentally altered, moving from the respected head of a line to a potential heir to the entire empire, forcing her to reckon with an ambition she never before dared claim. For Ridge Forrester, this is the ultimate betrayal and the ultimate revelation. The daughter he raised, championed, and saw as his mirror, Steffy, is not his blood. The young woman he has grown to love and respect as a stepdaughter, but who always carried the complicated Logan banner, Hope, is his flesh and blood. His entire life as a father is retroactively rewritten. The pride, the discipline, the moments of teaching Steffy to sketch, all were poured into a child not biologically his, while his biological child was right in front of him. The rage would be monumental, directed primarily at Brooke. Regardless of the circumstances, whether it was a deliberate deception or a tragic mistake, Ridge would feel his entire life has been built on a falsehood. His relationship with Brooke, the great love story that has spanned decades, would likely not survive this. It is one thing to forgive infidelities, it is another to discover the foundational understanding of your family was a lie. His dynamic with James, a man he likely saw as a benign, peripheral figure, would curdle into something dark and furious. Furthermore, his identity as Eric's heir and the leader of the Forrester dynasty would face an internal crisis. Does biology matter in legacy? He raised Steffy as a Forrester, but Hope is a Forrester by blood. Who does he choose? This could fracture his soul. For Brooke Logan, this would be her most profound shame, a secret eclipsing all others. Depending on the writing, her reaction could range from utter, shattered denial, genuinely believing Ridge couldn't be the father, to a collapse into guilt so profound it threatens her very sanity. The secret, if known and kept, would have been a cancer eating at her for decades. If unknown, the revelation would force her to revisit and reinterpret the most traumatic moments of her past. Her relationship with her brother James would become unspeakably awkward and stained. Her rivalry with Taylor, always rooted in who was the better mother for Ridge's children, would take a bizarre turn. Taylor mothered Ridge's non-biological daughter, while Brooke gave birth to his biological one. Brooke's Logan curse would reach its apotheosis, potentially alienating her from every person she holds dear, Ridge, Hope, Steffy, and even her own sisterly bond with Donna, who would be caught in the middle with her husband, James. James, the quiet Logan brother, would be thrust from the background into the most painful spotlight imaginable. To discover he has a daughter, and that daughter is Steffy Forrester, a powerful woman he has watched grow up from afar, would be overwhelming. His marriage to Donna could be strained by the ghost of a past liaison with her sister, no matter the context. He would likely be racked with guilt for not knowing, and terrified of imposing himself on a woman like Steffy, who may want nothing to do with him. His entire gentle worldview would be shattered. The corporate implications at Forrester Creations are staggering. The company, though now a public entity, is still treated as a family crown jewel. Stockholders and the board would be thrown into turmoil. Steffy's position as CEO, seen as a birthright, would be publicly challenged. Hope's hope for the future line could suddenly be seen as the true heir's first project. Bill Spencer would seize this opportunity like a shark smelling blood, using the chaos to push for a Spencer takeover, perhaps aligning with a wounded Steffy or a newly empowered Hope to further his own ends. Eric Forrester, the patriarch, would be heartbroken and forced to make Solomon-like decisions about what family really means. Would he disinherit Steffy? Could he ever see her as not his granddaughter? Would he embrace Hope with a new fervor? The power dynamics in the boardroom would become a direct reflection of the shattered dynamics in the living room. The long-term ramifications are a tapestry of new and tortured relationships. Steffy and Hope, already sisters-in-law through their marriages to Liam and shared history with Thomas, would become biological cousins through James and Brooke. Their rivalry could evolve into a twisted kinship or deepen into a more profound hatred, as Steffy might blame Hope for taking what was never rightfully hers, even though Hope is innocent. The potential for a slow, heartbreaking reconciliation, built on the understanding that they were both pawns in a larger, older story, is rich with drama. Ridge would be on a journey to build a father-daughter bond with Hope from scratch, laden with the regret of lost time, while navigating the wreckage of his relationship with Steffy, trying to convince her, and himself, that his love for her is unchanged. Brooke would be on a quest for redemption that may be unattainable, seeking forgiveness from Hope for the lie, from Steffy for the omission, and from Ridge for the betrayal. A potential, chilling story could emerge if Sheila Carter gets involved, seeing in Steffy, another person disconnected from their expected biological family, a kindred spirit, and attempting to manipulate her in her most vulnerable state. In conclusion, the leaked DNA premise is not just a plot twist, it is a narrative nuclear device. It takes the central, defining relationships of the bold and the beautiful and inverts them with a brutal, clinical efficiency. It challenges the very concepts of family, legacy, and identity that the show has curated for over 3 decades. The drama would not be about who slept with whom last week, but about who we are at the most fundamental level. It would force every character to confront the stories they have told themselves about their own lives and rebuild from the rubble of those shattered narratives. The fallout would ripple through bedrooms and boardrooms, turning love into suspicion, pride into shame, and legacy into a contested, bloody battlefield. It is the kind of foundational myth-making that could redefine the series for years to come, proving that in the world of high fashion and higher passions, the most devastating secrets are not written in scandal sheets, but in the very code of life itself. The seismic shockwaves of the leaked DNA revelation that Steffy Forrester is the biological daughter of James Logan and Hope Logan is the biological daughter of Ridge Forrester would not merely disrupt individual lives, it would systematically dismantle and reconstruct the entire social, emotional, and corporate architecture of the Los Angeles portrayed in The Bold and the Beautiful. To expand upon this, we must delve deeper into the nuanced reactions of the extended ensemble, explore the potential legal and financial thunderclaps, and trace the agonizing, long-term psychological journeys that would define a new era for the show. The ripple effect, the extended family's reckoning. Taylor Hayes, the renowned psychiatrist, would face a professional and personal crisis of unparalleled magnitude. Her life's work, in many ways, was being a mother to Ridge's children and a stabilizing force for the Forrester family. To learn that Steffy, the daughter she raised, cherished, and saw as a perfect blend of herself and Ridge, carries no Ridge DNA would be a devastating blow to her own sense of legacy. Her complex rivalry with Brooke would enter a bizarre new dimension. Brooke, the other woman, is the biological mother of Ridge's true daughter. Taylor's medical expertise would be weaponized internally, she would diagnose herself with a form of shared delusion. Furthermore, her relationship with Steffy would be tested. Would her maternal love, which she believes is as solid as science, remain unwavering? Or would a subtle, unconscious shift occur? Her role would likely transform into that of the primary therapist for a family in collective shock, even as her own heart breaks. Eric and Donna, Eric Forrester, the founding patriarch, would be forced to confront the meaning of his dynasty in the twilight of his life. Eric has always valued heart and character over mere biology, as seen with his acceptance of others. However, the sheer scale of this deception might shake him. Would he look at Steffy, his beloved granddaughter, and see a Logan first? Or would his decades of love triumph? His greatest conflict would be mediating the war between Ridge and Brooke, and guiding the company through the scandal. For Donna, the situation is a horrifying trap. Caught between her sister Brooke and her husband James, she becomes the unwilling anchor of the truth. Her marriage to James, a haven of simple love, would be infected with the ghost of a past intimacy between James and Brooke. Donna's trademark optimism would be shattered, replaced by a desperate attempt to hold her immediate family, James, herself, and potentially a rejecting Steffy, together, while her Logan family fractures. Liam, Finn, and Wyatt Spencer. For Liam Spencer, this revelation is the ultimate paradigm shift. His entire romantic history is defined by the push and pull between the two archetypes, Steffy, the passionate, fierce Forrester heiress, and Hope, the gentle, principled Logan daughter. This binary is now proven false. The biological labels are inverted. Does this change his fundamental attraction or love for either woman? Possibly not consciously, but it irrevocably alters the narrative of his life's choices. His connection to Kelly and Hayes also subtly shifts, they are no longer Ridge's biological grandchildren. For Finn, this echoes his own traumatic discovery of Sheila as his birth mother. He would be uniquely equipped to support Steffy through an identity crisis rooted in biology. However, Steffy's potential tailspin could strain their marriage if she pushes him away in her fury and confusion. Wyatt, ever the observer with a heart, would be a crucial support for Hope, his former wife and longtime friend, offering a pragmatic, less emotionally charged perspective amidst the Logan Forrester maelstrom. Thomas Forrester, no character's story would be more grotesquely altered than Thomas's. His obsessive, often toxic love for Hope Logan has been the engine of countless plots. The revelation that Hope is his biological half-sister would land with the force of a psychological nuclear bomb. Every twisted romantic gesture, every manipulative scheme to win her, every fantasy, would be retroactively stained with an unconscious, biological incestuous hue.